Okay, we're recording now, and we'll just roll right into it. Thank you so much for sitting with me.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I don't know necessarily how is this gonna go. This is sort of an experiment for me, because I guess, well, there's a whole plan of just okay, what I want to do is ask a bunch of people and sort of square it down. And I feel like this is sort of an interesting crossroads for me because it's sort of deals with art, but it also is for the. I mean, art has always sort of been dancing around in political sphere, but I guess this is very in the moment type thing. So yeah, I'm just.
It's funny that you say it that way because since we're here talking about the rather shocking Bloody Sunday billboard that appeared in Montgomery, Alabama for about a day. The funny thing with that and your mention of art is that, first of all, oh my god, my brain just emptied. Pause.
Oh, it's all good.
Thank you. Okay, so as we first started digging into this, my news agency was made aware of the billboard over a Facebook post. Somebody had taken a photo of it and posted it on Facebook, and it came across the feed of one of our journalists. And they announced it to the room. And when we started looking into it, because first of all, you mentioned art, it had the logo for MMFA attached, the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts. And the first thing we did was reach out. Okay, if this is signed on by them, they must have put it up for a reason. Why? So we immediately reach out to them. Rather quickly got a response back that that's not ours. We didn't authorize something like that. What do you mean there's a billboard up like that? So what we ended up finding out is that this was apparently actually produced by a group called For Freedoms. And For Freedoms is supposedly a political advocacy group based in art. And the whole idea is that they find and recruit artists and give them the money and art and tools to go out and make provocative political advocating art. So it is believed that this was one of their pieces. So all to your point about art really can be a political thing if you choose for it to be. And the group that put this into motion is all about art for politics.
Did you see the billboard in person? And if not, well, when you saw it, how did you react to it?
So it actually wasn't until you asked me that I finally saw the billboard for myself. What happened was the billboard was seen and taken down so quickly, and people worked so fast to keep it from being circulated that not a ton of people saw it. A ton of people heard about it, but not everybody saw it. My experience with the billboard was it being described to me by other journalists in my newsroom who had seen it as well, describing that, for those listening who don't know, this was a billboard that appeared in Montgomery, Alabama. I believe it was on a Thursday, was it? It was a weekday in the middle of the day. It was one of those electric billboards that changes repeatedly. And so all of a sudden, there was this electric picture of Bloody Sunday with the words, "Make America Great Again," across it, with Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts tagged at the bottom. And I think the reason that this billboard is known by so many but not seen by so many, the reason that it's been this big community talk about rather than becoming anything in the news really, is because nobody knows what to make of it. It could very, very easily be two entirely different things. This could either be somebody on one side using it as a warning, saying this is what Make America Great Again is about, or it could be somebody on the other side using it as a call to action, saying let's do this again, let's make America great again by doing this. And no one can tell which side it is. Or it could be some muddled third thing that we don't even know about.
Again, I feel like this is kind of it's this funny thing about art.
Exactly.
It's just okay.
The subjectivity.
Yeah, and this, it got people talking.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, I feel like it kind of achieved its purpose.
Therein lies that muddled third thing that I was thinking about. This was something that I brought up among my newsroom, and let it be known, like I said, not going to talk about which organization I work for, but it was debated. I will not say whether we ultimately reported on it or not, but it took 2 days of debating amongst everyone in the newsroom before we finally decided if we would or would not. Because of the fact that, like we were just saying, we couldn't tell which side it was on, and it was becoming increasingly likely that it was a third thing, which was simply here to cause chaos, a pot-stirring sort of incident. We think this may have been a catalyst just to upset people, period, because you cannot seem to determine which side of the political spectrum it is on. And as much as art is supposed to be subjective and ambiguous, when it comes to politics, not so much. You really want to be making a statement. You want to be showing what you mean, what point you're making, what political thing it is that you're supporting with your art. But in this case, all I know is that everyone who looked at it gasped. Didn't matter what side of the aisle you were on. Everybody gasped and knew something was wrong.
For you, like, how is the recent takedown of it sort of like symbolized to you? And what could it possibly mean for like the future of like maybe arts here?
So, shortly after the takedown, a statement was sent out by Montgomery Mayor Stephen L. Reed to all the major news outlets in the area, and all the minor ones too. That said, let me try that again. There was a statement sent out by Mayor Stephen L. Reed shortly after the billboard was taken down to all the news outlets in the area. And it was this big, long paragraph statement that really signified to me that everybody involved was of the same, like I had just said, that same opinion of, we don't know what this means, but we know something's wrong with it. Because I've been working around the politicians in the area for quite a bit of time, and I'm just going to be honest, they're all pretty much the same. You just smile and lie to the people you need to smile and lie to however you need to. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. When it comes to these politicians, they like to side on their party lines. And if it had been at all clear what party line that had been on, he would have reacted on party lines. It would have been, oh, this was a good piece that was made for my side, and it should stay up. And if it had been clearly on the other side, it would have been, this is a horrible piece made by the other side that should never have gone up. That's how it goes. That's how they respond to these things. But the statement he sent out was not that. It was very much a down the middle. What was put up there was a very powerful political statement put up with a powerful political image, and we shouldn't be doing things like this. You know, it's a very sensitive matter that needs to be handled with sensitivity. We need to handle history properly. Like, it was very clear to me that even the politicians themselves were like, we don't know. We don't know what this means, but we're shocked too. What it symbolized to me, really, because of that, is that it was this, not a climaxing moment, but a moment where everything sort of clashed together in such a way that we all could see an issue. You know, it's been a long time in America since we've all been able to see eye to eye on anything. And even this, we don't all see eye to eye on it, but I know for a fact that everybody I've mentioned the billboard to was upset about it for one reason or another. We all agreed that what happened there wasn't okay. And I don't know what that means, if that's a symbol of us healing or if it's a symbol of us just all being confused and scared. You know, I think that's what it is. I think this is reminding us that we're all confused and scared right now. And whoever put that up there, probably also confused and scared too.
I feel confused and scared. I'm trying to there's so many thoughts just running through my head of just I've met some people who are like, yeah, that needs to stay up because maybe we need to understand, and because they interpret it as sort of a warning, and that perhaps we need to take in this warning and take in for me, when I reacted and I felt like it was going to cause problems. It wasn't necessarily like I thought it was necessarily bad. I just knew that people are going to take it badly.
We cannot completely deny that this could have been an instigating piece. This could have been meant to instigate. And if that's the purpose or not, either way, as you said, it could. This is something that was frightening, especially if it was seen as making the point of saying that, oh, MAGAists are this way and we should be afraid of them. Some other people who are in favor of MAGA who, they're going to feel attacked. They maybe feel scared, and often when you feel attacked, the immediate response is to attack back, and that is the most dangerous thing.
It's also weird in a way. And not just that, the takedown also made me think about, again, it's just like the arts and sort of ever since sort of like the re-election happened, has been this feeling like everyone has just been moving different. And I looked up the organization. I've been like interested in that organization, like for freedoms, and sort of like following them. Oh man, this is not even an interview anymore. This is more like a conversation. Yeah. But that's great.
That's okay. You can cut it. You just cut out the parts that are the interview.
Yeah. And I've just been like following them, and I mean, again, it's like I like what they're doing. It's like. It's not just art anymore. It's now like trying to make change and trying to start programs, trying to start conversations. But it's just now it's like, maybe is this a state that wants to have a conversation?
At this moment, speaking as a journalist myself, I'm not sure. I get to see a lot of comments from a lot of people every single day. And, I think there's a lot more conversation to be had in Alabama than people sometimes give us credit for. There's a lot of times that we post things and we see responses that aren't necessarily what we were expecting. But the other 70-80% of the time, it's about what you would expect. And I'm not here to be mean to the people of Alabama, but they're not always the nicest to us. And I think it really says something about where this state is at in terms of their fear, what's important to them, what they're looking out for. I mean, people are afraid, and it comes out in the form of hate and anger. And there's been a lot more hate and anger coming towards us lately.
For me, I feel like what was really interesting was kind of like watching the museum, kind of just like, oh, we had no idea what this was happening. And I read an article where it's like one of the reporters from like this news organization from this like organization tried to like get in the meeting where they were sort of discussing like
how this had happened,
and they weren't allowed in. And I was just ooh.
See, this further corroborates our theory that this may be somebody who was doing it simply to stir the pot and instigate. Because MMFA didn't actually approve and didn't know that this was happening, I think it is highly likely that this was a lone actor. Again, it's the art museum. Somebody working at the art museum probably became a part of the Four Freedoms movement, and knowing that because by the way, they don't have an overseer. They don't have a director right now.
Oh yeah, they don't.
That's the whole reason they think that this managed to get through. Somebody working there who was a part of Four Freedoms saw that there was a gap in security and used it to, make their political statement.
That's crazy. No,
like 90%, I think that's what happened.
And like, also I kind of question as well of just the city apparently has now control of like the arts museum, from what I heard, for the most part.
Yes. So what's happened is that because there was no director at the time, they were working on finding a new director, and then this happened. They'd be like, okay, clearly we need to have a director to make sure that doesn't happen again. We need all our billboards to be approved before they're put up. And so I forget exactly what her title is, but somebody who is a director with the city has now stepped in to be the temporary director of Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts until they find a new one.
Which I do kind of wonder. It's just like the city having control of the museum. Is that potentially a bad look?
I mean, yeah, there's a conflict of interest there, but I think at that point, I agree with your point, and I think that's why there was no interim director at the beginning. Was, it's fine, we don't have a director, we're going to go find somebody else. And of course the city's not going to step in because why would they? They don't need to. It's just the museum, and it would look bad for them to be trying to control art. And then this happened, and it was one of those, okay, well, the ends justify the means. That bad look is no longer nearly as bad a look as this just went completely under our radar.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the lesser of two evils, and we got to put somebody in there because we can't let that happen again.
I think this whole event, because I've seen people like discuss about it. I think some people are like, whoa, this crazy event, while others are kind of like glad that this is sort of happening because it's sort of like bringing
starting the conversation.
Yeah, starting the conversation is sort of like, that's what I guess going back to my perception of the art, that's kind of like what it is. It's sort of like getting us the question of like what exactly makes America great, I guess.
What is the definition of great America? What is this? They're saying make America great again. Okay, which version of America are we trying to get back to? That's not a question that's been answered.
And I guess also, I think maybe that statement in itself is also like what dangerous of because it's so vague. Like what and
that's exactly what Stephen Reed said. He was like, as powerful a political message as MAGA is put on something like that, we don't understand. Can't necessarily understand what it means. And
I feel like each person has a different feeling of okay, what makes America great. And I think going back down to this one thing, you were discussing about how is sort of being a journalist now, it's kind of a lot, you face a lot of sort of
it's a lot
pushback in Facebook. What is that?
Oh, a lot of pushback on Facebook, man.
A lot of suspicion.
If you want to hear some of the worst things people have to say, they will say it to you on Facebook. And especially right now, where the media has been so demonized. And speaking as a member of the media myself, I have to agree. We need to be kept in check. This is a powerful, powerful thing that can be easily manipulated to harm people. And in recent years, a lot of media outlets around the nation have been being very biased in one direction or the other and causing harm and spreading things that aren't necessarily true or that aren't the whole truth or that are biased towards one side, etc., etc. These are valid complaints, and we should absolutely be held accountable. However, people take it to utter extremes, and they no longer see it as, some of the media. They see it as all of the media. They are not taking the time to recognize when their journalists and their reporting is good reporting. They are not taking time to recognize when these people are working down the middle aisle. All they see is they don't like what has been said, so they must be on the other party. Fuck you. And they start going at us for it. We don't report anything that isn't a fact. That is a big deal where I worked. If we cannot absolutely 100% corroborate it as a fact, it is not reported. Which is why it is so extra hard and so ironic to see all these people on Facebook who are calling us liars and calling us the lying media and the manipulating media, who have no idea that we're not. There is lying and manipulating media out there, and those people are the ones that you look up to and say, yes, this is the good reporting. But those of us that are working so hard to be down the aisle are yelled at by people on both sides, calling us biased. People have completely lost their perspective of what truth is. Now, truth is about tribe. Whatever side you're on, that's the truth. And if the other side speaks, that's a lie. They don't seem to understand that the truth is the truth is the truth, no matter how you spin it. It's just gotten really frightening, the fact that we can go out there and post facts, nothing but facts, and we still get death threats, people threatening to bring guns to our station and shoot us up. It's a scary time. Truth is under attack right now. The only truth people want are their lies.
I'm gonna go back to Twitter.
Okay.